looks like the Bible and its sage wisdom may be taught in Texas public schools beginning next school year. While the curriculum will still be optional for the 2 million public school children in Texas, this does signal a significant move toward erasing the separation between church and state.
The vote held by the Texas State Board of Education was preliminary, but the final vote is expected to take place later this week with the same outcome. Now, 8 of the 15 board members have already signaled support for this curriculum, which is titled Blue Bonnet Learning and is aimed towards students in kindergarten through 5th grade. Experts say it could become a model for other states. Now, one of the lessons includes teaching kindergartners about the Golden Rule, which revolves around a lesson on the story of the Good Samaritan and stems from Jesus' Sermon on the Mount from the Bible's New Testament, although the Golden Rule is found in many religious and just social traditions.
There is another lesson in this new Texas curriculum which refers to how Jesus appears in Renaissance artwork, like Leonardo da Vinci's painting The Last Supper. Texas was the first state to allow public schools to hire religious chaplains as school counselors, and the Republican-controlled legislature is expected to try once again to require public school classrooms to display the Ten Commandments. That's according to the New York Times. President-elect Donald Trump has invoked religious rhetoric throughout his past presidency and campaigns. After his first assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania, he said, quote, "Many people have told me that God spared my life for a reason, and that reason was to save our country and to restore America to greatness," end quote. Many of Trump's supporters see him as the champion of conservative Christianity in America, and evangelical leaders have embraced Mr. Trump, and he won the support of 8 in 10 white evangelical Christians in the 2024 presidential election. That's according to AP Votecast.
Reaction to the Texas School Board's latest moves are mixed. Some Texans are writing on X, "Make Jesus great again." "Oh no, children will learn about morals and shared culture." Not that. "We need Jesus back in school," etc.
But some are outraged. The Texas Freedom Network posted on X, "Public schools are not Sunday schools. This curriculum promotes a one-sided religious agenda in Texas public education. Urge your State Board of Education members to reject it before the final vote on Friday, November 22nd. And some Texans on X are writing things like, "What I think doesn't matter, it's unconstitutional. Separation of church and state needs to be upheld. Religion shouldn't be taught in public schools. And how would all the Christians feel if they forced the Quran or Book of Mormon teachings at school? School is not for religious indoctrination," according to one of those users. Robby, I'm genuinely interested in what you think of this issue as your libertarian, not particularly, I think, not an especially Christian conservative kind of figure.
That's true. I have a Catholic background. I was raised Catholic and attended Catholic schools. I'm not particularly religious myself. I'm not a social or religious conservative. And I am all in favor of the separation of church and state, and I don't think religion should be taught in schools. I don't think it should be prohibited in schools. If groups of children or students on their own want to pray or do whatever, I think they should be fine to do that, or Bible study. This does get to the occasionally tricky task of separating what is religious education and what is just education. The Golden Rule is just, you know what the Golden Rule is? It's treat others the way you want to be treated.
I don't actually consider that a Christian concept.
It's not. It's a Christian concept and a Muslim concept and a Jewish concept and a concept for every society, religious or not.
Basic ethical concept.
Yeah, so I think it's weird to say that couldn't be. I hope that is being taught. And if they want to say, and this was an important value for Christians and Jews and Muslims and there's something about teaching. Also, if they have it, and it should be optional, and you should allow. I'm all for just in general giving kids, students, families more choice and control over the direction of their education and less from the state. If they want to teach like history of religion as an optional class at the history of Christianity or the history of Islam, I don't object to that. It's more, requiring them to go through the sacraments of a religion would be, they should not do that. I am not in favor of, just displaying the Ten Commandments or just putting up a cross. If there's a display where these are all a bunch of religious symbols, let's learn what they were in a historical context. I don't have a problem with that. Or a courtroom that wants to show, this was a source of religious and legal truth. This was a source of religious and legal truth, because religion until the modern era, was a kind of philosophy or a kind of legal teaching. It was a way for early and primitive people to understand the world around them. It represents a kind of pre-science and pre-legal tradition, and we should be, not denying or pretending that's not reality. But no, I don't want to. We're not going to instruct people and young people, force them to actually go through the motions of committing to a religion in a school. I think we're all, or most people at least, are against that.
Yeah, so I think, debates around church and state are actually really fascinating on how we decide these questions and how we determine them. Interesting to me in researching this, in the vote in Texas, 3 Republicans joined Democrats in opposing this, and the remainder of Republicans voted for it, and so it had a very narrow 8-7 majority, but it wasn't a straight party line vote. To your point about religion being taught as a kind of academic topic where you look at various religions, I think that's broadly fine. I do notice that a religious scholar who by the name of David Brockman, I think, spoke to a number of news outlets about this, and his objection, he believes that religion should be taught in the way that you're talking about, as a philosophy and as something that matters to people's lives. His objection was that the curriculum here verges on Christian proselytism. And he was referring to the whitewashing of various elements of Christian history. For example, in the teaching of the debates around slavery, abolitionists are rightly credited with the fact that their Christian faith played some role in many of them reaching that position, and the fact that slavers, or people who were pro-slavery, also cited the Bible is kind of generally ignored. One other thing that I find just interesting with this debate generally is the argument. I'm not a religious person, but there are arguments being made in this debate by people who are religious, who do not want the state to be teaching their children about religion because they believe that right belongs to them. There was a Jewish grandmother by the name of Barbara Baruch from the San Antonio area who said that she believes her grandkids should share our family's religion. Her family's religion is Judaism. And she says, I need help to stop the government from teaching them to be Christians. I assume that's an argument that you might have some libertarian sympathy with.
Yeah, I don't really disagree with anything you said. I mean, this is why I support school choice and alternatives for families, because I think your kids should get the kind of education that you want for them, and to some extent that they want for themselves as they approach adulthood and develop interests or specialities or things they're more interested in. If a liberal atheist art school is the right choice for your kid, that's fine. And if a religious kind of a Catholic school, which has a religious component but is not wholly or all about religion and otherwise teaches similar things to the public school, is the right choice for your kid, fine. If the traditional public school is right, that's fine. If you want to do some kind of homeschooling combination but then using the extracurricular activities of this school or that, that's fine. My baseline point is that every kid is different and every family is different, and a one-size-fits-all, force everyone to have the same kind of education is not good. And I would probably agree with you, without having looked at this so closely, are like some super Christian religious groups in Texas or political figures, trying to move the needle a bit in getting a little bit more of their religion displayed in the school. Yeah, that seems plausible to me, and I'm not for that. But occasionally there's a case that makes its way through legally where the state tries to prohibit, as I mentioned earlier, like a prayer group in the school or the team praying before the game. And I'm fine with that as long as they're not being required to do it. Yeah. The coach can't say you have to do this. No, but if they do it of their own volition and they don't treat anyone differently for not participating, I think that's absolutely fine.
Yeah, I mean, I think we probably would have slightly different views on there was the Supreme Court case, you remember, fairly recently about the high school coach. That would be, however, a whole other conversation, whereas we have a moment of unity here in Rising, the importance of keeping church and state separate.
Well, we'll leave it there then. Lots coming up today on our show. Please stay tuned. We have an interview with Lee Fong, one of our favorite guests. That's coming up next.